Hello, YouTube. What is up? What is going on? Your host, Joe Ausmus, Colorado Joe, the Realtor musician. All one and the same guy right here. Um, Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. We are going to have a lively discussion here. And first thing I'm going to do is break out my chat box so I can keep an eye on the chats and interact with everyone going, hey, Bill, what's up, man? Appreciate you checking it out. All right, I'm going to leave a little chat in here as well to get it kicked off. We're going to give folks just a couple of minutes to tune in. Yeah, Bill. Oh, man. All right. Cool. And yeah, we're going to chat a little bit about buying foreclosed properties because this is a hot topic that seem to get a lot of questions about from buyers, and it's understandable with the current market being, as crazy as it is. People are looking for creative ways to get into property ownership, and foreclosures seem to be a way that people can accomplish that for a little bit less. Almost like a perception of it being like a clearance tag on real estate, right? So want to bust that myth first and foremost, that just because a property is a foreclosure doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good deal, but it can be a good deal. Just like properties that are not foreclosed on can or cannot be a good deal. It all just kind of depends on the circumstance. Um, Best way to be able to discern whether or not it's a good deal is to get educated on, what constitutes a good deal, what makes a good deal for you. There's a lot of resources out there available to get that education. And then, of course, you can rely on a real estate professional to kind of guide you through that process. I happen to know a few. So, oh, Jackie, yes, what's up? All right, thanks for tuning in. Yes, got to give a shout out in the chat box. Jackie, what is good? Uh huh. Nice. Super excited. Likewise. So, if you guys are digging the content on the channel here, by the way, I would invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the channel. We do these live type of Q&A sessions. They're very interactive, very loose format. If we go off on some crazy tangent and we never even come back and talk about foreclosures, we're just going to pick up and talk about them next week. It's super loose. We wherever the chats take us is kind of the direction that we go here. I invite you to chat along. And how's the finger? Oh, it's been better. We can go on a tangent right now. I had a neighborhood dog bite my fingertip off, so it's in the healing process right now. But that's an exciting adventure of mine. So just kind of dealing with that at the moment. Fun times. But hey, got clients that need my help, got agents that need my help. So got to put my EXP hat on, my realtor hat on, and keep rocking and rolling. But I appreciate you asking on that, Bill. Thank you. Yes. So let's break this down. Let's start by defining foreclosure. It's a process by which the lien holder, so that'd be the bank that holds the mortgage, for example, takes ownership of the property. And the most common scenario is non-payment. Miss a few mortgage payments. They reach out, maybe try to make arrangements with you, unsuccessful in doing so. Boom, foreclosure action. That process is usually started by a notice being sent to you. And in Colorado, it's an official notice that actually gets recorded in public record. I don't know if it's that way in all 50, but I can speak for what I know, which is my market here in Colorado. So that notice gets recorded publicly, and that begins what we call the pre-foreclosure process. So a lot of folks will send me homes that they find on Zillow that are listed as a pre-foreclosure. And they're like, what about this one? When can I go see this? Well, that home is not actually for sale. It's listed on there as a pre-foreclosure because Zillow has access to those public records, just like a lot of investors do, a lot of agents do. Um, so when it's recorded publicly, it becomes public knowledge. You can go on the county website and actually see pre-foreclosure lists. You may need to go down to the courthouse to access them if they don't have it online, but you get the picture. It is in within the public realm of information at that point, and people will use that. They'll send mailers out. There's wholesalers and other type of investors that will reach out and try to get those folks to sell them their home to avoid the foreclosure process. It's a big strategy that investors will use. And the reason is because they know that these sellers are going to be motivated to do something here. They either need to cure that foreclosure delinquency. Curing the account usually entails making all the payments in arrears, bringing it up to date. There might be additional fees, what have you, but there's usually a cure or a redemption process that homeowner needs to go through to get it out of that foreclosure action. And if they can't do that, then their best bet might be to go ahead and sell that property to possibly an investor, possibly listed on the open market. But either way, to unload that property so that they don't just get kicked out and have nothing to show for it, right? So, if you have experience with foreclosures or like a story about a foreclosure, I invite you to share them in the chats as we go, and we can chat about this stuff as we go. But if not, like I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling. That's kind of normally how I do these things. So what happens next if they don't cure and if they don't sell is that a foreclosure auction date is set, and there might be a few properties on the docket for that foreclosure auction. There might be none, but this fictitious property we're talking about is going to be listed on the docket to be sold. The What they say is on the courthouse steps, and that's not figurative necessarily, although it can be. They might have a designated courthouse space for these foreclosure auctions to occur, and I've been to a couple of them with clients and just solo to go check it out and see what was going on. If you never have been, check it out with your local county and find out when their foreclosure auctions are. Go check it out. It's a fascinating process. They'll start the bidding at what the borrower owns the bank. So if they owed 250 on it, like you're not going to be able to get the property for less than that. You have to make the bank whole in order to be awarded the title for that property. Um, Ooh, all right, Bill, love it. Can an investor pay the arrears and have equitable interest in the property? So let me break that down. So equitable interest means that investor is now an interested party in it. They may not necessarily be the deemed the owner of it, but if they have equitable interest, I see where you're going with this. By the way, Bill, nicely done. They can now market the property. So how what I'm thinking of in my mind is wholesalers, and how they would do this is to pay those arrears, to get an equitable interest. And I think that happens more commonly with tax debt, if I'm not mistaken. I think with a foreclosure, it's a little different, and they're going to have to pay the entire balance that's owed to the bank in order um, to take care of that. Um, I don't think the investor can step in and cure the account and then have an equitable interest. But you might know a little bit more about that than me. I might be mistaken. So if I am, call me out in the chat. It's totally cool. But from my experience, where I know that comes in is if they owe back taxes on the property. I know then an investor can step in and actually pay those back taxes and have that interest in the property. I don't know if it works the same for foreclosures. So if you know different, definitely drop it in the chats, and we'll all grow together because we'll all know together. Boom. Anyways, yes, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So what they do with the foreclosure auction, sometimes what they'll do is have like an open house type of window where investors can come in and walk through the property and check it out. Depends on the condition. If it's not safe for people to walk through, they'll probably skip that and just say, you know, no showings. You don't get to see inside the house. You just have to come to the courthouse on the date and time of the auction and place your highest bid to be awarded that property. So how that works is, let's say the 250 amount. So that's what's owed to the bank. So they're going to open the bidding at the 250, and then investors are going to bid. If they get no bids, if no one shows up or no one wants to buy it for more than that, then the bank is awarded the title for that property and they own it. More on that to come. I'm going to come back to that. But let's say investors do bid, they bid it up, they pick up that property for 280, 290, what have you, right? Then they're going to say, congratulations, you've been awarded the property. How would you like to pay for it? And you better have that answer. So they may not allow like a conventional financing on this. Certainly, if the property is not in like a turnkey or more or less move-in ready condition, that would certainly rule out other loan types, FHA and VA. But honestly, I don't even know if you can use a conventional type of loan on a foreclosure. And even then, there's an appraisal process, all that. Typically, this process is going to be more or less geared towards cash buyers that are there at the courthouse, ready, willing, and able to write that check, and it better clear, so you can be awarded that property. So when folks ask me about that, that's typically the advice I give them is, it's more for seasoned, savvy investors or just folks with a boatloads of cash that want to invest in properties and try to get them at a discount. Um, that's kind of that process. But let's see here. Bill, you got it. Usually it's cash or certified funds. Beautiful. Thank you, Bill, for coming through on that. Appreciate that, man. So yeah, there's your answer right there. You're not really going to be able to do, like a down payment assistance loan if this is your first home. Typically at this stage in the foreclosure process, you might be able to, negotiate in the pre-foreclosure process and buy the property off market using financing, or you can go to this next phase, which is the post foreclosure. So let's say that the bank takes the ownership, no one is awarded the property at the sale. Banks aren't in the business of owning real estate. They don't want to own it. They call it REO, which is real estate owned. A lot of banks have a department just dedicated to liquidating their REO assets. And that's what they do. They'll probably hire an agent to list it in the MLS, which is the multiple listing service. That's where you see a lot of these homes that are being populated onto Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, etc. Those sites are syndicating that data from the MLS, from realtor listings or real estate agent listings. And that's probably what the bank is going to do is hire an agent to go ahead and do that for them. At that point, it's open game. They're probably not going to be interested in doing repairs, being that it's bank owned. So typically, if it's in disrepair, distressed property, it needs some TLC. Usually, they're going to be asking for people that are going to be buying as is. They might rule out those government types of loans that I mentioned earlier, the FHA and the VA, for that reason. If those homes really don't meet the conditions that they need to for an FHA or VA appraisal, then they might not even offer that type on these REO properties. But that said, they're going to list it on there because they're motivated as well to get rid of that asset. They don't want to pay holding costs on it. Just like when a builder builds a home, they don't want to pay holding costs on it. They want to liquidate, they want to sell and get rid of that property. So that can be a great way to do it too. But beyond the MLS, you can find real estate foreclosures on the HUD store, which is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. If it was, for example, an FHA buyer that got foreclosed on, then it would go through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development through HUD, and it would be processed and placed on HUDHomestore.com. I'm going to drop that website into the chat box here. You can bid on properties right on HUDHomestore.com. Home store. And when I mean you, I mean your favorite real estate agent that has a login for HUD Home Store. So drop that in there. And I invite you to check that out. You can actually see the listings that are in there. And it's not a lot, but the reason that this topic is becoming more and more prevalent now is with the market shifting. It's been such a hot seller's market, and even during the pandemic, there was a moratorium here on foreclosures. So people that were behind on their payments weren't getting foreclosed on. Well, now that now that things are kind of headed in a different direction, I dare not say back to business as usual, because we all know that's not the case. But now that we're kind of into this post-pandemic or transitioning towards a post-pandemic type of environment, I believe that we're probably going to start to see more foreclosures come on. Is it going to be a massive slew of them? Not necessarily. Folks have a lot of options to sell the properties to avoid the action if they can't pay for it. But there will probably be some sort of uptick. And therein lies maybe some opportunity for folks to get into homes or investments or both. So that's why we wanted to cover this topic today. And again, just want to reiterate, just because it's a foreclosure does not mean that it's a good deal. If you're looking at it, you're not sure if it's a good deal, get with a professional agent, or, if you are an agent, get with an experienced agent that can kind of take a look at that with you and say, okay, here's what probably needs to be done on this property. And if you don't know because you can't walk through it, that's another issue. Then you kind of have to guess and leave yourself a margin for error. If it needs everything, if you need plumbing, HVAC, electrical, drywall, if you need roof, maybe foundation repair, if you need like everything, then what looks like a shiny object, a good deal in the beginning, is becoming, more and more of a money pit and more of potential to break even, or even the dreaded, loss when you go to sell that. So just be aware that, with foreclosures comes risk. So to mitigate that risk, educate yourself, get with someone that has the education to walk through that process with you. Um, oh, Bill, satellite image can help on the outside. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, you can zoom in like Google Earth style and zoom in and just get a feel for what's going on with that property. Yeah, again, can't see through walls, not Superman here, but at least the outside can tell a tale on what you could possibly expect on the inside. Oh my goodness. Bill, you are on fire, man. What is going on here? Talk to the neighbors. Who better? The neighbors will know exactly what's going on, you know? You just go knock on their door and just be like, "Hey, I'm kind of interested in this house next door. What can you tell me about have you seen inside? You tell me a little history here, what they were like, or you know, neighbors will spill the beans, man. They'll let you have it. They'll let you know what's going on. If they know stuff, they have no reason not to, right? And usually they just love to dish. So that's a great strategy right there. If you're interested in a foreclosure, you can get a lot of information from the neighbors. Nice work, Bill. I can tell that you know your stuff when it comes to this. I'm really glad that you tuned in today. Love it. Cool. Well, that's pretty much everything that I had here. But what else would you guys like to talk about, or do you have topics for like future live streams that you want me to kind of do a deep dive on? I'd love to get your feedback. You can You can leave it on here. And by the way, if you're watching this after the fact, no longer live, all the recordings are on here on my YouTube channel, so you can watch them at any point. And even if you're not, joining the live conversation, you can always leave comments on there after the fact. I'll go back and read them and respond to them, timely, so that we can all kind of. The whole purpose of doing this is to ask a realtor, what's up. And I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I have a lot of connections that do have the answers. So I can always give you my perspective on your question, like on the fly. But if I don't know it, I'll be straight up with you. I'll be like, I'm going to research that. That's a great question. And we're going to revisit that on the next episode of Ask a Realtor. Fwah, fwah, fwah. Awesome. This is your boy Joe signing off for this one. I appreciate you guys checking it out. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.